Hello.
Hello, hello. Hey, Greg.
Hey guys, here, give me 1 second. I'm gonna join the meeting with the room that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
You guys hear me all right?
Yeah, then your voice is a little low.
Okay, is that any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, excellent. So, thanks for joining, guys. FYI, the recording is going. And so I was out of the office last week, so I didn't set up too much of a formal agenda, but the plan that I had for today was to look through a few of the V1 improvement epics that we have in Jira, because there are some open tickets in those, some of which are still pretty relevant. So I thought we could look through some of those and see if there's any low-hanging fruit or higher priority stuff that we want to keep in mind for the near term. Does that sound like an all right plan to you guys?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to add to the agenda?
I think I added one item like resource quantity.
Ah, I see this. Okay.
So maybe we should do that first before
Yeah.
we do the backlog. So that's going to take a never-ending thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good to me. Do you want to go ahead and start, Ming? I don't know if you need a screen or anything like that.
Yeah, this is just a thing that just came up while looking at Ben's optimization patch for the sorter performance improvement. So in the sorter, when we do the sorting based on the allocated resources, it's very inefficient because it has a lot of the resource metadata. So if we just and the sorting only cares about the quantity. So I think Ben added a patch that introduced a resource quantity class, and then you just use that to do the sorting. So I think the result was like improved performance significantly, like 35% in some setting. So while looking at the code, I realized that there are other places that probably we need this, not least internally, but also some of the external APIs like quota setting, where pretty much you only care about the resource quantity.
Okay.
And the mean allocatable resources as well. So right now, for example, when you set up the quotas, we need to do a lot of validations to make sure that there isn't any metadata there. For example, when users specify the quota, we make sure that you cannot specify a quota for reservations and something like that. So while looking at this code, I feel maybe we should make this a first class construct, expose it externally as well, like introduce a protobuf construct and use it internally for for the code where only quantity makes sense, and this will also improve performance as well.
So you said there is already a resource quantity internal class or something that Ben introduced?
Yeah, Ben, I'm looking at one of the sorter improvement patch he recently sent out. Yeah, he added a scalar resource quantities class. Yeah, but this hasn't landed yet. I'm reviewing it.
Okay. Can you maybe share the screen with the code or something so that we can take a look?
Okay, sure. I haven't looked at deep, but we can look at it together. So share. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah. So this is the class he added. I mean, we can look at this together. I haven't looked deeper into it, but I think the spirit is, if you look at the fields, where are the fields?
So a single class holds multiple scalar. Okay, gotcha. Scalar.
Yeah, yes. So it's essentially like
Vector of pairs.
Yeah, vector of pairs. So yeah, basically like two fields. If you think about like a protobuf structure, like the name or type slash the value. I think this is pretty much all we need.
So it's like a version of the resources class, but for call sites that only care about the scalar value.
Yeah, I think there are several places in the code base that like only care about quantities.
Yeah.
Like some places in the allocator where we calculate like the quantities, use the allocated quantities to or cluster capacity to calculate what we should allocate, and also in the sorter to calculate shares, and some external places quota. When you set up a quota, it's just a quantity guarantee and also mean allocatable resources. And I think there's some like G mentioned to me that in some of the resource provider, they are also they might also only interested in the resource quantity.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned we might add a protobuf corresponding to this type. What are the external facing applications that could be useful for?
Like the two external configurations I'm thinking is one is the quota setting and another is the mean allocatable resource. We can use that.
And what does that gain us instead of just using the resource proto?
One thing is in the quota, for example, right now we do a lot of validations to make sure that it's a pure resource quantity. Since the user can only, since it only makes sense for the user to specify quantity anyway, I feel it's if we offer like the full-blown resource format, it doesn't align well with the expectation.
Yeah.
And similar for the resource quantity, the mean allocatable resource as well.
Okay. So we can parse directly to this and avoid.
Yeah. Let me think. What are the other advantages?
So from the user's perspective, it wouldn't change anything, but it helps our implementation for those config flags. Is that accurate?
I think it's also easy for the user to reason about this, right? Like if you look at the quota, okay, I can set up, I can use the resource protobuf for that. I see a bunch of fields. Then I begin to wonder, okay, can I like set a quota for this particular reserved resources? We don't support that. And so it's kind of counterintuitive.
Okay, so if we were going to add that to the quota API, for example, would you propose just adding new optional fields, or need to look at the API definition?
So one thing I had was, so this is about only scalars. What about quantities that are not scalars?
Like for the case, we only support quota for scalar resources. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, but so I think we're mixing two things. Right? One is the quantity and one is scalar quantity. Like, are you thinking about adding something called resource quantity or something called scalar resource quantity, only for scalars?
I think we can do. Right now, all the use cases I'm thinking about are only scalar resource quantity. But I think we can add a resource quantity, and it's just add a type for that, right? So there's name, there's value, and a type.
Yeah, I guess do quantities even make sense for non-scalars, like let's say ports?
I think
Yeah.
we can see that at least I think we can define, right? For example, the number of ports, or in the set case, like the number of,
Well, if it's the number of ports, then it's again a scalar, right? If it's just the ports range, like ranges or whatever that is, I don't think that makes sense as a quantity, I guess.
Range.
Yeah, so we have range, set, and
Text. Text, of course, doesn't make sense for quant. So I guess only scalar. Scalar is the only one that takes a double value, right?
Yeah.
And everything else is like, it's not really quantifiable. Like, it doesn't make sense for someone to say ports 1-10 as a quantity, right?
Ports. Yeah. Right now the usage is currently in my mind is only scalar quantity. We can. Yeah, I will give you more thoughts on other types as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think in my mind it probably only makes sense for scalar quantities, and in any case, I think that's the current application that we have. Like, I don't think our current applications require such a construct for sets or ranges. But it might be. Oh yeah, and the name of this class is already scalar resource quantity.
Yeah. I think, in the allocator, in the realm of allocator, it's mostly about scalar quantities. Yeah.
So if we were going to update, for example, the set quota call to accept this type, like the current field we have to pass resources into set quota is called guarantee.
Right.
So do you have any thoughts on how we might extend the API in a backward compatible way for this type?
It's not. So one thing that coming up for the quota API is we're introducing the limits change. So it will not be backward compatible, I think. That's why we introduced the minimum capability check.
Okay. Can you elaborate? I don't understand.
Okay, I need to get it. So right now the guarantee. Okay, let me double check the quota API first. Just a second. Yeah, so right now in the quota request, you can only specify guarantee. When we introduce the limit, we will add another limit field. This might break up some of the downgrade change. So right now there's only one field called guarantee, and this is used for both guarantee as well as limit. So if we make the change, we will decouple that. So for older versions, you can only see guarantee, and if a newer version that is capable of doing limits, inherent this guarantee only request, then it will, I think, follow the old semantic of setting the guarantee as well as the limit to the older guarantee. but we can't do that in reverse.
Can't do it. And so you're wondering about the downgrade case. What do we do if someone has set a separate guarantee limit, newer version, you downgrade?
Yes. Yeah. So if for a newer version, you set up guarantee and you set up limit that is different from the guarantee, and then you downgrade. Yeah, you can't make it like compatible.
Right. So is that because we persist the quota in the rep log, right?
Yes.
So is the backward compatibility issue in the writes we're making to the rep log?
The right. Yeah. That's the place. That's the replicate log is issue for the backward compatibility. We simply don't persist that much information. That's why we introduced a minimum capability check.
Are we sure that it won't be able to recover? Like if an older master comes up and finds an entry in the rep log with a new unexpected field, exactly what will happen?
You mean with the minimum capability check or without?
Without.
Without, I think, I need to double check, but I think it will discard that field.
Yeah, I think it might just drop it.
Yeah.
And so what does your minimum capability check do exactly?
Okay, I think we are drifting, but mine is, I think the minimum capability check will, I need to recall my memory for that. So basically we would persist some of the, for the newer master, which is capable of doing the limits, it will write, for example, quota limit as a string into the minimum capability. And then when the old master get up, you will first check the minimum capability field and thinks that's in string format. It will see that, okay, this replicated log is tagged with quota limit minimum capability, and I am not capable of doing that. And then it will, right now it will just abort. So the minimum capability patch is like in two places. So there's a part that the boot check the minimum capability part. This part needs to be backported to the older master. Is that clear?
Okay. So with regard to the set quota API, I mean, the capability check doesn't affect backward compatibility with respect to the API, right?
The set quota.
So I'm wondering if we wanted the set quota API call to use the new resource type, how we would go about changing that API.
Quota request.
Yeah, the current call accepts a repeated resource.
Yeah, one way is to, I need to think more on this, but I think one way is to keep the existing API and then introduce a new one.
Yeah, I guess introduce a new call or introduce a new field in the existing call.
Right, yeah, something like that.
Okay. So right now we have what, get quota, set quota, remove quota.
Yeah, we are actually introducing a new call. This feature is not. So right now we have get quota, set quota, remove quota. I think we're adding another call called update quota anyway.
Oh, okay. Do you think you guys could present the new call at the next API working group meeting?
Yeah, sure. I think Ben is already has the patch for quite some time. We're just waiting a good time to commit it. Yeah, but yeah, sure, we can do that.
Okay.
Ben has a patch for the protobuf or just this internal class, you mean?
Oh no, I think we're talking about the quota API change. He
the quota
also
API
has,
change.
yeah, he also has the patch for the quota API.
Okay, yeah.
I can share it right now if you guys.
Yeah, let's take a look.
So, well, first, actually, I have a question with the resource quantities.
Sure.
I was wondering if that is, if it's reasonable to, like, say, model ports here, like, say, ports, we have, like, intervals, right? But the quantity can be, like, a number of ports inside that interval. Does that make sense? So we can enforce some sort of quota on even non-scalar resources.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, we could, but I wonder why we want to do that. And also, I think I mean, it will be different from the quantity, like quota guarantee, like how the allocator will try to satisfy that guarantee or limits.
Yeah, I think, Chunhung, as far as I know, the current applications that we have for that class only deal with scalar types. Are you aware of any other applications where a quantity type or something like a range would be helpful?
Yeah, it's probably like, it's probably not, well, I'm just thinking about, well, I don't have a concrete use case for now, but it's like we can also enforce quota on like resources with IDs, essentially. But yeah, this is not your like high priority thing for now, I guess, because I don't have like explicit use case.
Yeah, so like setting quota on something like a port.
I think
like how many
resource provider or something.
Yeah, like something set quota on how many whatever resources you can use, but each resource have its own ID. Like you can only use 3 at most, but well, I don't know. Like I haven't got a concrete use case yet, so probably I remember I have a like brief discussion with G about this because of something else, but I cannot recall now.
Because of mean allocatable resources, I think.
What?
Because of mean allocatable resource, we discussed this resource quantity, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I forgot why I raised up the question originally about do we want to like convert some non-scalar resource to quantities. But it's not, well, we don't have a concrete use case, so we probably don't need to worry about this yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but I could imagine, hypothetically, maybe somebody only wants offers to go out that have at least one port in them or something like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and I'm sharing my screen. So this is the quota API change. So originally we have get quota, set quota, and remove quota. You guys can see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we are adding update quota. So update quota will be, again, direct you to the quota request. So quota request is mostly the same, except we are adding a limit. So I imagine if we want to do this quantity stuff, we can, add a new field here or introduce another new quota request or something.
So there's a new field in quota request, and what does the new call look like?
The call is update quota.
And it has a quota request.
Yeah, repeated quota request.
Repeated, okay. And then requests are applied in an all or nothing manner. So I'm trying to understand the point of adding this new call.
I think, so the difference here, I think, is one is repeated, another is required. So, so this feature is removed, okay. So one of the rationale I think is all or nothing here. So you can reduce one row's quota while at the same time increase the other. And in the past, you can do this like atomically. So if you reduce a row's quota and that quota at some point, it might be like unclaimed. That is, it's not a part of the quota for any row. And then the allocator might allocate that part of the resource to other rows. And then you ask to increase another row's quota. And at that time, we don't have enough like headroom to satisfy that quota. I think that's one of the rationale to introduce this call.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is the idea to use the new scalar quantity type in this call?
No, so this is just, we are still using resource. But I'm just thinking, I mean, this patch hasn't been committed or anything yet, but I wonder we can take this opportunity to do that or,
Yeah, I would say if we're going to do it, now seems like a good time when we're adding a new call. I guess, so the new, I'm just wondering how things would change from the user's perspective, like a before and after of the JSON that they would submit.
Before or after JSON.
Lose. Are the field names this? Well, I guess we don't have the proto yet, but did you have like an idea of what the new proto would look like?
Well, I think it would be pretty simple, like what value and a name, maybe a type. It's probably just be this. I think that's the point of making it to be simple.
Yeah, so it would just be a subset of the fields that they normally specify, or just like a translation of them, I guess. Yeah, I think that seems like a decent improvement to me. What do other folks think about using a new proto that represents the scalar quantity?
That's fine. I guess I'm just wondering, what is the backwards compatibility story?
Story is
call, so I think it would be safe.
Yeah, specifically for the quota, we're introducing a new call. So
that's update quota?
Yeah.
Right. So set quota will take a different type of request versus update quota.
Yeah.
I think the main problem is that you mentioned that we need to backport. Have you already backported the minimum capability changes to the old mass, like old versions?
Not yet.
Yeah, the problem is like, I think we say in Nessus somewhere in documentations that we should be able to upgrade from like any minor version to another minor version. Then they will be problematic for this kind of backporting. Like you can only upgrade, say from 1.4.3 to 1.8, for example. And you cannot upgrade from 1.4.2 to 1.8 if you use this new feature. It will be unsafe to do that, right? Or you cannot downgrade back.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if, I'm not sure if all people are like okay with this backward compatibility like change, like breaking this backward compatibility thing.
Another
or downgrading
that occurs to me is that upon downgrade, the old master could just ignore the limit field and just use the guarantee as both the guarantee and the limit the way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was one of the intention to, like, motivation for adding the minimum capability check.
Wait, so is that functionally what the capability check accomplishes?
So if you downgrade from a newer master that is capable of doing quota limits and to a older master which is not capable, the minimum capability check can discover that. And right now, that one of the default action is to abort, to refuse to boot. I mean, we can do other fancy things like, I don't know, set up different limits, or even allow, like, I think there are discussions about allowing the operator to modify the replicate log.
Okay. Yeah, I think Chunhung's point is valid. It would seem better to me to allow the master to recover still. Yeah, it seems reasonable to me to just ignore the new limit that's specified and resume old behavior using both guarantee and limit.
Yeah, for the resource quantity stuff, I think I need to do more thinking about this and probably chat with Ben and other folks as well. Maybe we can bring this up sometime later when we have a more fleshed out design.
Okay. Yeah, I would say for me personally, using a new proto, like a quantity proto for the new call seems fine to me. And if that's something you guys are interested in doing, adding it when we add the new call seems like a good time to do so.
Yeah, another motivation is really for the internal performance improvement, because it just it's simpler and more performant.
Like, have you done any benchmarks to see how much improvement that would be?
Like the sorter patch I just showed you, like the bench sorter patch, I think he did some benchmark. So it improves allocation cycle time for the 10K agents, 1K frameworks version of one, like a basic allocator benchmark, by about 35%. So 35%.
Okay, quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the internal changes are orthogonal to the API update, right?
Yeah, we can
still take the API, but have it, convert to an internal class to use, right?
Yeah. Like that.
Just need to do some validation.
I mean, if we have like protobuf. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All
Is
right.
there anything else you wanted to add, Nick?
Nope. I think I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Cool. So I'll share my screen. We can take a look at Jira. Is there anything else related to the quota stuff anybody wanted to bring up? Nope. All right. So we have 4 V1 API improvement epics, one for scheduler API, vector API, one for operator API, and then one for HTTP API testing abstraction improvements. So I thought we could look through some of the unresolved tickets in here and try to identify some particular work that might be useful for us. And then I had 1 or 2 other issues in the back of my head that we can add. Oh, so this one actually adds scheduler call and event-based metrics to the master. We have these now.
So do we have these now with the per framework metrics that we added?
Yeah, so you can probably, I'll keep that tab around, can probably close that one out. Benchmark call ingestion path on the Mesos master. I think that, yeah, API benchmarking in general is something we could use some more of. I know that Ben Mahler has done a bit of this to compare V1 and V0 performance. Specifically is the call ingestion path. We got to report significant regression in performance. Okay, I wonder if this is still an issue. Consider supporting compression for the event stream. Was there anything done along these lines, Vinod?
I do not think so.
Okay. As far as I know, that's not being demanded too much at the moment. Suppose the unversion call and event proto buffs. Okay, I'm not. Useful for.
Looks like that landed.
Well, said it's exposed to Mesos jar. Maybe it's not exposed as public headers.
I think that should be good.
Yeah, maybe we can.
Yeah, I can close this, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, is it only scheduler or both? Scheduler and executor, right? Yeah.
Yep. Don't know what the fixed version is. And errors communicated to the scheduler should be associated with stable error code. Register. Okay. So my impression is that this is asked, like currently we do a lot of returning accepted and then sending error events on the screen.
Yeah. I think it's basically asking for error codes because we do not have any error codes. You only just send messages, so it's hard to program against those.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the error events, they only include a message, is that right?
Yeah, just a string.
Okay. Okay, that definitely seems valid to me. Not sure about priority. Rate limiting functionality. Is this something that you guys have seen a need for? No?
Yeah, I think this is just like having parity. I think we do not have any rate limiting.
Oh, but we do for
hid. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know who actually uses that rate limiting functionality, even for bid-based. I think Twitter probably used it at some point.
But maybe that's a feature in search of a use case right now.
Yeah. No one asked for it yet.
Okay. Enable framework to executive message optimization. Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard too much demand for that.
So I guess, are you trying to look to see if any of these are stale and close them? Is that the goal?
Yeah, I think close stale ones and surface anything that we think is higher priority here.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem like a reasonable goal to you?
Like higher priority, and then like you're going to see if you can put them on the backlog kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
API documentation tool. So this is something I remember some discussion about. I mean, I don't think this is gonna make it very high priority, but it's possible we could automate some documentation generation.
Yeah.
V1 API should document behavior. Variable might be race condition. Huh. Is this at all related to the recent Java library issues that you were looking at, Node, around like life cycle of the scheduler driver? Do you know what I'm talking about?
What, sorry?
This ticket, Mesos 5926.
No, this is not what I was looking at. I was looking more on the JNI side of things. I think should we do this exercise here? I think that probably might take a lot of time.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can just do it independently. Are you guys aware of any other, so I found these 4 epics related to V1 improvements. Are you guys aware of any others related to API stuff in general that I should look through?
I think there's some bugs. I think probably we should prioritize first. Like for there's some tests that are segfaulting because of the life cycle of the objects that we use in the test for the scheduler library.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think Man also looked at it recently with me.
Yep.
I think we should fix that first, if more than features. First, we need to fix the bugs.
And
I guess that's kind of
yeah, you can go first.
What do you know the ticket, Vinod?
I do not. Let me see if I can.
Let me try to find it as well.
I'll just a scheduler library segfault or something.
Oh, here's a fairly recent one.
Scheduler flaky. No.
One is like 9108.
9108.
It's about the specific test, but I think it's
so there's an earlier one. I thought there must be an earlier one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely there is another. Oh yeah, 8096, I think.
9809.
No, 8096.
8096.
Oh, that's the same one we just saw, right?
Yep.
Is that already resolved, or what's the status of this ticket? Yeah.
Looks like, yeah, we merged some stuff.
Oh, I guess not this. Oh, is this the one? Yeah, I think this is the one. So is this something that people are fixing right now?
It doesn't look like it. It's in the accepted state.
But I see some update on 5th September.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so this is output from Clang Analyzer. I don't think anyone's actively working on it, but...
Okay. I think this one's probably worth looking into and fixing, I think. Because this is causing a lot of flaky tests that we haven't been able to nail down.
Okay.
Another ticket I can think of, I don't have the ticket number for now, but is that it's an improvement, not a bug fix. But for now, we are unable to filter the HTTP v1 API because we put the HTTP body in the pipe.
Unable, can you repeat that? Unable to filter?
So currently we put the protobuf in the HTTP response body, right?
Uh-huh.
And the body is now in a pipe. So we can, when we write tests, we cannot set up expectations against type of those HTTP requests. So we have a couple of helpers, but they are not like they are not like they are broken.
Yeah, so this is actually one of the issues that I also wanted to chat about, Cheneng. I'm glad you brought it up.
Is it in the test filters, you mean? In the G-test?
On future HTTP call, are you talking about these, Cheneng?
Yeah, right.
It's broken, you said?
Yeah, all of the tests which currently use the future HTTP call and drop HTTP call macros are currently disabled.
Oh, how come?
Because those macros are broken. I don't know in what way they are broken.
So the reason is like I think, well, it's Anand initially worked on some HTTP API improvements, which moved the response body into a pipe. So, and we directly like process the outcome, like read the pipe out in the body. So there's no way we can we can monitor what's in the pipe, and we need the body to do the matching. Like future HTTP calls, we need to match that is actually a subscribe call, right? Or actually whatever call. It used to be working a long while ago because back then there's like in the process we do scan through the request body and use to do the matching, to do type matching. But now the body is in the pipe, so the request body or response body is basically empty, or request or response body are basically empty.
Right. So that doesn't work for streaming response, as you're saying.
I guess so, but like I think every HTTP call is now implementing the same way. So those macros are broken.
It's only for things that are, I mean, yeah, it's only for streaming responses, because that's the one that you use a pipe for.
I see.
A
Okay.
regular HTTP request response should not be sent on a pipe. Like only the subscribe call, for example, and all the events that we get on that would be in the pipe. So all the other calls, why are we sending
I
calls on
see.
pipes? I don't get it actually. Is it events you're talking
I
about or
see.
calls?
Okay, maybe it's event I'm talking about. I forgot the whole context. I have a brief discussion with Ben M a while ago.
Okay, HTTP call on disabled. Okay, I'm curious what the issue is. Why are the calls? Calls should be. So you're saying
Like
it was
Ben M have
implemented?
this, yeah.
The call was
Sorry, please go
implemented
ahead.
before, and then we broke it somehow.
Yeah, I remember the reason is because we now the request and response body are all empty.
The request and response body, even for non-streaming calls.
I have to check.
Okay.
Maybe it's only for streaming calls, but I have to check.
Okay. Okay. Well, I
But
think that
Ben M has the most context.
Okay, so that's definitely something we should fix too. Then, Greg, if you have a
But
bunch
it's
of
super
tests,
tricky to fix.
yeah, but we need to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're disabling tests, that's not good. Like our test coverage is going down, and these testing abstractions are actually really important for us to fix.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Chun-Han. I think that's
Sure.
a good one to try to prioritize as well.
Not in the sprint, I think. Epic. Like another trick there is you can actually just create the task from the Epic. It'll automatically link it.
Okay.
Like if you go here and here, if you see the plus there, issues in Epic on the right.
Oh, nice. Okay.
If you do it from there, it'll automatically link.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I would say in general, I would recommend prioritizing some of this tech debt and testing abstractions and fixes, segfaults, before you even embark on any other improvements, because I don't think we're in a good shape there with respect to the bugs and tech debt we have there. And some of these are tricky, so it'll take a couple sprints probably to fix those.
Yeah, I'm just making note of a couple tickets here so I can work on the API backlog. Okay. Are there any other bugs that you had in mind, Vinod?
It's not bug per se. One of the improvements that it's one of the bugs that we have recently found internally was with when we have intermediaries in play. Sometimes Mesos does not detect that a streaming client has disappeared. And we were thinking maybe one of the solutions would be to actually add a heartbeat from the client to the server. Right now, we only heartbeat from the server to the client one way for streaming APIs. And we were thinking maybe a more robust mechanism would be to also have clients send a heartbeat to the server.
Like a heartbeat call?
Yeah, heartbeat call, just like how we have heartbeat events today.
Okay.
And that way server could also detect more than, instead of just detecting based on when the connection gets closed, it could also detect based on like a timeout on the heartbeat.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are cases where connection is not getting closed for whatever reason, but the client has gone away, especially if there are intermediaries in play, like proxies.
Right.
So that's one improvement that you were thinking about recently that comes to mind.
So does it seem that there are situations where we can't address that through the intermediaries? Like we can't fix that issue?
Oh, we can sometimes if you have control over intermediaries code, yes. But if you do not have control over the code, then it's very hard to fix it.
Yeah. Huh, interesting.
Like ELB doesn't close connection, irrespective of how we set up the headers and stuff, apparently. So if people are accessing Mesos API, streaming API through ELB, then we pretty much do not detect that the client has gone away.
Yeah.
Seems problematic.
Are you aware of any other APIs which have like a heartbeat call over a non-persistent connection?
I am not. I think I would say look at the Twitter streaming API to see if they had anything. That's one of the inspirations on how we designed our API. To see if they have any mechanism there. If they expect heartbeats from the clients or something. And if they do, maybe we should also start thinking about that as well. I mean, that's not too hard to implement, I guess. We just need to figure out what the right timeout is.
And I guess this is something that would apply to all streaming clients, right?
Yeah. Whether scheduler or operator or executor, anything that's making a streaming connection.
You think
like,
executor?
What's that?
Executor, you think?
Well, executor right now, another ticket that I've been following is right now executor uses CNI to talk to the agent, and sometimes if that CNI network is having issues, agent doesn't detect it. So one option is to actually move the connection to domain sockets.
Huh.
The other option is to actually see some kind of heartbeats and react on that, I think.
Huh. So is there a ticket related to that CNI issue so that the agent doesn't see that the executor cannot communicate? Like,
yeah, something along those lines. I think the corresponding, let me see, Mesos ticket that I was just talking to, these guys, so 6240.
Cool.
But that basically talks about just moving to domain sockets. But
yeah,
we can see what the underlying issues are and see if there's another way to do it.
Okay, cool. Well, we're out of time. I appreciate y'all coming today. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks for organizing.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll probably be pinging a couple of you about potential agenda items for next time. Sweet. Anything else? Anybody wants to add?
Nope.
Okay, cool. That's all for me, guys. I'll see you online.
See you later.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you.